Hi guys, Big Monday here, and today we have another low MMR replay coaching. This is from Mahakali923. It's one of the Reddit requests. In-game name is, I have no idea. He played Visage this game. It's like Chinese or Korean characters or something. Can't read it. I have no idea what it says. I imagine it says something the same. But okay, so before we jump into this, I want to talk about how to pick your hero for ranked. Because I think you're spamming Visage a lot, and I really don't think you should be. So this is your Dota buff. This is, if you go to Dota buff on your profile, click on heroes, it will show your win rate, KDA, and a few other details with every hero you've played. Now what we want to do is we want to sort this by win rate. So if we click here, and you want the high win rate heroes at the top, and what you want to look at is heroes that you've had a high win rate with, but you've played enough games to know that it wasn't a lucky game. So you've only played a little over 300 matches, so we're not going to see a huge amount of we're not going to see big numbers here anyway. So what we're looking for is really anything you've played more than 10 games with, and you've still got a pretty high win rate. So we've got Spirit Breaker's a pretty good one. You've got 19 games with him, is at 57% win rate. Ogre Magi is still pretty good, 13 games, 61%. We'll probably get away with the Clinks because he's at 66%. Probably also worth trying Treant Protector, Wraith King, Silencer, because all these guys are 71%. You've had 7 games, and it's not quite enough to weed out any lucky games you might have had with those. But it's certainly a good sign that you should be playing those heroes more. So let's scroll down till we find. Well, let's look at your most played hero. Your most played hero is 34 matches, and you only have a 41% win rate. So you probably should avoid playing Ricky in ranked. Don't be put out by only having a 41% win rate on your most played hero. When I first started playing Dota, I spammed Windranger a lot. I had like a 24% win rate with her. You lose a lot of matches when you're new, it happens, and you tend to stick to one hero for a little while, or a lot of people do. So it happens, don't be upset by a low win rate. You might want to try, and if you really want to play Ricky, maybe just look at your last 20 matches with him or something like that. You'll probably find that or keep an eye on your win rate, you'll probably find it's trending upwards. But let's take a look at Visage, because you're getting spamming Visage a lot recently. And you have a 25% win rate over 20 matches. So that's relatively accurate. Is that you're only winning 1 match in 4. So for every 4 matches you play, you're going to go down 50 MMR. Now your MMR wasn't posted on your profile. It looks to be a little, judging by the other players in your games, it looks to be a little under 1k. But if you continue to play Visage, it's going to go down 50 MMR every time you play 4 games. So we're going to sort that. I would advise you not to play Visage in ranked, but this is a coaching video, so let's go look at a Visage game anyway. Because at the end of the day, a lot of this stuff's going to be it's not going to be hero specific anyway. So let's jump in. Love that name, the Feed God. Well, we'll find out if it's true. Okay, so we're going to go player perspective, and we're going to mostly watch your perspective for this. Okay, first issue. You need to be at your PC. You need to be talking to your team right from the strategy screen.
Prepare
that is the whole point of having a strategy phase in the pick. Now, you should be pretty much ready to leave base as soon as the game loads in, and you go running. Let's just take a look. I'm going to speed this up. Let's take a look how long it takes before you get out of base. I see a lot of players, particularly in low MMR, that they go AFK after they pick their hero and they come back late. Now, what could happen? Usually you'll get away with this, but occasionally the enemy team will run into one of your cores. Somebody on your team dies, and you could have been there to save them, or you could have been there to to get a kill. You could have been there to get a
30
assist goal.
seconds to battle.
You need to be out on the map. Let's just carry on. Okay, so it takes you about 45 seconds to even come out of base. You should be over here by now, ready to fight. You should be looking to maybe have put your ward up already. You need to be out on the map. It's occasionally you're going to be a bit confused about what items to buy. You're going to be playing an unfamiliar hero, but 9 times, I mean, these items are pretty solid.
Begins.
But you're going to be buying the same item set almost every time. Particularly at your skill level. Starting items are not going to change beyond some regen and some GG branches. So please, please, please make sure you get out on the map immediately. So I really like the fact that you tried to block here, it's good. It could do with some practice. Go into a bot match and just do it. Spend 10 minutes trying to block every creep wave. It's something that you don't really improve naturally very much because you do it once per game. But if you go into a bot match and spend just 10 minutes doing it, you'll find that you improve quite significantly. Okay, so this ward location. I really don't like this. The thing is, what this ward's going to give you, it's going to give you a tiny bit of vision of the lane. It's going to give you vision here if Legion Commander comes to contest your pull. If we go free camera for a moment. Right, if we go free camera. So, it's going to give vision here in lane. Just here. Now, we're going to have creeps, almost always we're going to have creeps somewhere here. So we're already going to have vision here. And if we want to get vision to see if she's contesting the pull, what we could do, and one of my favourite ward spots for the start of the game, although it is quite often dewarded, is here. Because if you place your ward here, you're going to get vision down here, which gives you the same vision as here. It's going to give you vision of the lane here, and it's going to give you vision here. So you'll see if anybody comes to back up. It'll give you a vision. It'll tell you if anybody comes to help these guys. And while you don't see here, unless you have creeps, you're almost always going to have creeps in this area giving you vision here. And if somebody does walk out of the vision area and you see them walk south, you know they're here. You don't need to see them to know they're there if you've seen them walk in. It's kind of... If you've got a Pudge in the game, it might have been worth putting this a bit further south because he'll want to hide behind the trees here, and you can see when he's waiting to do that, but you don't have a Pudge in the game, so almost always you want it a little further up, so you'll see these two heroes when they come over to contest the pull, and you'll see them in the lane. If anybody TPs when you go, you'll see it happen. So that's probably what's going to be best. Once you get into the tier where people are consistently dewarding at the start of the game, then this one's a little bit too obvious. Sometimes it's better to maybe put it over here. Sometimes down here can work, but generally speaking, just plonk your ward here, and nobody's going to deward you at your skill level. It's not going to happen until you start to approach 3k or higher. So just plonk your ward down here. It'll give you really solid vision. So let's just put this back into normal speed in your perspective. I really think you should have... I think Solar Suction's probably a little bit expensive early on for you to be casting regularly. I think Gravekeeper's Cloak would have been better to take first, particularly since you don't have a Stout Shield or anything like that. Any ranged hero that you're going to be in lane against is going to hit you a lot. I mean, Visage's range is good, but a Windranger is going to purposely, she's going to hit you again and again and again and again and again. Stout Shield blocks a lot. It will block a lot of that damage. So if you don't have a Stout, you really need to prioritise getting Gravekeeper's Cloak first. But look at how much health you've lost already. This would have saved you a huge amount of health, and you've not cast this once. So, I mean, I noticed you skilled this when you were in the fountain. It's usually a good idea. Just wait till you get to lane. You might find that you run into one hero by the rune spot, and having your slow really helps. Okay, so let's just go back before you use your slow Yeah, and we'll slow that down a bit.
Don't mind if I do.
So, here, you immediately cast your slow on the Windranger. If you want to initiate on someone and you think you've got a good chance to kill them, then what you usually want to do is you start right-clicking them first. When they decide they want to then turn and back up, then you cast your slow. You see, all this time your slow has been on the Windranger, and it's ran out already. All this time it's been on, she's been standing still. Your slow has been doing nothing. What you want to do is you trade with someone, and once they get scared and want to back off, or once you think you're guaranteed the kill, then you cast your slow. Because all you did then is waste mana. Because she can run out afterwards. She's gonna stand and trade a few hits with you anyway, and then she runs out afterwards. So all you've done so far is trade mana. You've done a little bit of damage, but it really wasn't worth it. So you need to save your slow until she tries to run away. Clarity usage is a little bit risky up here with the Windranger having such long range, and the Wraith King having a range spell. You're guaranteed to have that cancelled, and to make matters worse, he even cancelled it. He cancelled it with a melee attack. You know, you have a clarity up. You know, if you get hit by a player, your clarity is going to get cancelled. You need to stay out of the way. I mean, this guy can last hit. You can last hit from range. There was no reason for you to be in melee range then. I mean, if they hit you from range, at least they're wasting mana to cancel to stop you getting mana. So if you've got a clarity on, make sure you back up. Okay, so really have a problem with you here. Now at 306, you got away from the Windranger. She decided not to commit and chase you. You're now sitting in lane with 76 HP. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Because you do the same thing that a lot of low MMR players do, is you work for the enemy team. You currently have 97 HP. Let's take a look at Windranger. She's just hit level 3. She's about to level up Power Shot again. It does 260 damage. At any point in this game, you have less than 260 health now. You are working for the enemy, because she can kill you instantly. Now, this guy gave you a salve, and that's the only reason you didn't die. This guy gave you his salve, and Windranger cancelled it. That's the only reason you didn't die. But you're back to pretty much exactly where you were before he gave you the salve. So what do? Do you take this lesson that you almost died there and go back to base? I mean, a lot of low tier players do this. But at the moment you're working for the enemy team, because all that can happen here is you could die.
First blood. The Windranger gets there first.
So anytime you don't have regen and you're low enough that one spell or one right click would kill you, just go back to base and heal. Just go back to base. There's no reason to not go back to base. Now, there are some situations in Dota where it is beneficial to stay and trade with your enemy even though you're low. One of my favourite heroes is Phoenix. You can't avoid being low on Phoenix because all his spells chew up health. Being high health is not an option most of the time. But in most cases in Dota, if you are really, really low, you don't have health and you don't have mana, just go base. Especially if there's someone in the lane to soak up the XP, because your team loses nothing. But all you do by staying on that low health is you create an opportunity for the enemy team to farm you for gold.
Missing middle.
So we're going to carry on watching the laning phase a little bit longer, because there's a good opportunity to really demonstrate your skill usage and the way Visage's skills should be used. fast forward it a little bit here, just so we can get to the point I want to show. So you do need to be continually right-clicking this guy.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Every time he's in your range, and he has to be in your range to
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
to last hit. Is every time he's in your range, hit him. And let's just look back at that again. Now your attack speed is 1 for every 1.4 seconds. So right, you could hit him now. If we just count roughly in 1.4s, let's count how many times you could hit him before he walks away or the Windranger gets close enough to you. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Dire's middle tower
8,
is under attack.
9. Could have hit him maybe 10 times, but I might be counting a bit fast. But you should have been able to hit him 9 times for 58 damage by now. He doesn't have a stout shield, so it's going to be a huge amount of damage. I mean, you're going to be. You would have done close to. You would have done close to about after his damage reduction. You'd have done about 400 damage to him in the time he's tanked this creep wave. Now, you do need to be careful here, because when the Windranger does come towards you, you do need to back off because she's going to trade with you. But Windranger's attack range is not big enough that you need to be massively scared. I mean, it's the same as yours, but as long as the Windranger is behind the Wraith King, you can right-click him, and neither of them can right-click you. And this guy is going to hit you hard. He's going to hit you really hard, especially if he gets a lucky crit. But he's melee. He has to really commit to trade with you. So what you do is you right-click him, and you right-click him, and you right-click him. If he moves towards, if he gets close to you, then you back away. But as long as he's not actually in right-click range, you keep hitting him. Now you have to be ready to react to back up when he starts running towards you. But don't just run away either when he does run towards you, because if he runs towards you to right-click, yeah, all your creeps are going to start hitting him. Maybe your tower's going to start hitting him. Just back out and then start right-clicking him again.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Thing is, if this guy was 400 HP lower now, he would be much more scared to last hit. He'd be having trouble farming. He'd be having trouble getting XP. You'd be able to bully him a lot more. Okay, so here's the point I want to really talk about.
This will do nicely.
Just watch this, and then we'll watch it back in slow motion. Okay, so the moment this guy gets gone on. Now I think your Grave Chill usage here was questionable but reasonable. It's not the moment I would have taken to use it, but it was reasonable because it looked like this guy was about to die. The Ogre Magi has got 153 health, and he's still got a slow on him. But he does have boots, so as soon as that slow wears off, he's all good. But it's like I say, it's questionable, and this guy has a lot of armor as well. So I think he would have survived here without your slow, but it's questionable. It would have been very close. But let's just watch the point where I think you should have used it. Notice you currently have 3 charges of Soul Assumption, which is the maximum. Now this is going to do 60, 120, 100, 195, 215 damage. This is going to do 215 damage, and it's got a 4-second cooldown. Now one of the cool things about Soul Assumption is that when you cast the spell, the charges reset to 0 while the spell is in flight. So when it hits, the damage it deals can charge more charges. So it's going to do 215 damage before reduction. this is going to be very close to giving you 2 charges immediately. Now, if anyone else here takes any damage at all, it's going to put you over that threshold. Straight away you're going to have 2 charges. Pretty much anything hits the heroes after that, if you right click them a couple of times, you're going to have a 3rd charge. So what we're saying is, within 4 seconds you're going to deal 215 damage twice, because you have enough mana to cast both and you're slow. So you should be able to do 430 damage before reduction to this guy. So I'll just show you the point I really think you should have slowed this guy. The point I think you should is when he crosses that red line from your tower, you can hold Alt to see that. That is the point you need to slow him, because he's going to take some time to react, so he's going to end up about here. This is the point where you slow him. So if we just carry on with this, is also the point, if I just go back a tiny bit, so you've got soul assumption charges.
This will do nicely.
We're looking for the point just before your soul assumption charges run out. So slow now and cast soul assumption where you have 3. It runs out before you cast it there. Now this guy's just got hit by the tower. So he's just got hit for another 110 damage. That would have put you over the threshold. That would have guaranteed your 2 charge. If he gets hit again, that will guarantee your 3rd charge of the 2nd cast. So that's it. So that guarantees you would have got 2 max soul assumptions. Guaranteed 2 max soul assumptions. That would have done 400 damage. If you'd slowed him while he was in tower range, you'd have also taken probably 3 more tower hits maybe. So that would have been another 330 damage. So let's just see how much health he gets out on. Player perspective from the Wraith King. Let's say he's going to take minimum 3 extra hits if you'd slowed him under the tower. Let's see how much he gets out on.
You come to a bad end.
So he's on 379 damage at the moment. Let's assume he gets away from the Legion Commander. Now he's only got 9% physical resistance at the moment. So the 330 damage from the tower, that's going to do about 340 damage. I'm not going to do the maths exactly. It's going to do about 340 damage. And the extra damage from your soul assumption and those extra tower hits would have killed this guy. If you'd have kept your slow till the last second and hit him, slowed him as he entered tower range, and then you double soul assumptioned him, this guy would be dead. And with Visage, one of the things that makes this hero stupidly powerful is that casting the damage soul assumption deals can charge it. So if you can time that right, you max your charges first, then you cast it on someone at a point you know they're going to take additional damage. You get two max stacks of it within 4 seconds of each other, which deals stupid amounts of damage, and you can snowball massively and get huge kills. And that's how you need to play Visage. Well, that's one of the big points. I think one of your big problems is you're getting harassed a lot in this lane. So I think you should have taken Gravekeeper's Cloak before Grave Chill, and I think that's where your next skill point should go, because you're being harassed too much. I don't think you should be harassed that much, but I think when you are losing as much health as you are, you need to prioritise being a bit more defensive with your skill build. So okay, I think as far as this laning phase goes, it goes. I think that's all. It just carries on about the same from there. So let's quickly switch back to Dota buff. Now, this is the XP graph. Unfortunately, in this game, there is no gold graph, but it shows the same thing, just a little bit delayed. Now, you can see these swings where you had a big advantage, 10k, in experience. It was about 6.5k in gold, and it swings back towards the dire side. And there were no fights here. There was a fight did happen a little bit later, about 37 minutes here. There was a swing there in the fight, and we are going to go over that. But I want to talk about this bit, because all this downward swing on the gold graph was simply because the enemy team took 4 of your towers in the space of about 5 minutes, and nobody contested it. There was your top tower. If we can get up to that point. The top tower particularly.
Every coin helps.
You walk past on...
Dire's top tower. Mega kill.
Let's just get to that point before we analyse.
Radiant's bottom tower. Dire's structures are fortified. Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
A little bit later than I thought.
Every coin helps.
In the meantime, we can watch you being
Radiant
killed.
structures are fortified.
Here we go. Right. At this point, the Legion Commander decides to jump on the Winter Wyvern for a duel. Pretty standard for a Legion Commander, but let's go free cam. And we will watch the tower. The tower's really low at this point. There's a big wave coming in with a catapult. That's why the Winter Wyvern's here. He wants to push it. This thing's being hit a lot. Now, first off, you can draw creep aggro, but you can't stop the catapult. What you could do is deny this tower. You're standing by it. You've got 3 units to deny it with. Just click it and deny it. Now, the way tower gold works is the person who last hits the tower gets about 150 to 250 bonus gold. But for tier 1s you get 100, I think it's 150 gold for everyone on your team. Tier 2s and onwards you get 200 gold for everyone on your team. So when the enemy team killed that tower, they got 4, 3, 6, 750 gold for their team, even though they didn't right click it. That's 750 for all of these tier 1s, and they all fall in relatively quick succession, and that gives a massive amount of gold lead to the enemy team. Then they get a bigger item, then they come back and fight you, and you kind of snowballs towards a loss. But let's look at one of the fights, because there was a fight around the 37-minute mark in this game where I think you could have quite easily turned the fight. And this is just down to not playing Visage correctly. But we'll just watch the fight again, and then we'll go through it in slow-mo and we'll break it down.
Killing spree. Killing spree.
Right, so one of the big problems I see in your fights is that you are not using your familiars. Let's just free cam for a moment, and we click on the familiars. Very rarely in your Visage games do I see you use the stone form stun. One of the things that makes Visage really, really annoying to play against is he will chain stun you with his familiars. And when they're max, they do 1.5 seconds each. You have an axe, you'll have 3, so you can stun people for 4.5 seconds, which is a huge amount of stun. It's just insane. Plus it does a little bit of damage. Let's look at this fight. So the fight starts, you fly the familiars over and you start right-clicking with them. The Winter Wyvern is stunned at this point. Now, what we want to look at is the point the Winter Wyvern casts his Winter Curse. There. Now, what you could have done with your familiars is fly them over here. I mean, they're almost in stun range as it is. You'd be bordering on it. I don't play Visage, but I would probably have risked that at that range. But there's no reason you couldn't have walked them a little bit further up here. Cast your stun. Both these guys get stunned. So does the guy coming in at the back. And the Winter Wyvern then doesn't get this stun off. Winter Wyvern is currently on 376 HP. And you're going to guarantee yourself a 1.25 second stun. She is in Shrapnel. And she has Ignite on her. So she's going to take one more tick of damage from Ignite. And she's going to take 2 ticks of damage from Shrapnel. Ignite is currently doing 50 damage. Shrapnel is currently doing 75 damage per second. Then she's going to get 2 ticks of that. The Ignite is just going to be one more tick and then it'll expire. So, Ignite is 50. You get in then another 150 from the Shrapnel. That's 200 damage. She's got a Veil on her. Which is another 25%. So there's 250 damage. The Winter Wyvern is going to take 200. If you stun once, the Winter Wyvern is going to take 250 damage just from the spells that are already on her. Plus 100 damage from the Stone Form. I think it's 100. Yeah, 100 damage from the Stone Form. So that's 350. One right click from anyone then, including the other familiar, and she's just dead. That's a dead Wyvern. And if that happens, this guy doesn't get stunned by the Winter Wyvern. If we continue watching this, the thing that deals the bulk of the damage to Tusk is you and your familiars. For some reason, the Windranger attempted to stun him. I mean, but this guy is taking huge damage from you and the familiars.
No.
So, if you had cast your Stone Form stun once, the Winter Wyvern would have died before that happened. Ursa would have been stunned, so he didn't deal any significant damage to the Ogre, because most of the damage the Ogre took came from the Ursa. Wyvern would have been dead before Tusk dies. Tusk would have been on nearly full health now, and then you would have been fighting a 4v5 with most of your spells still up. So the Stone Form stun with the familiars is really, really important. Now, I don't want to go too much into micro detail. It's kind of hard to show this in a replay because there's a replay bug where it won't show me what you have selected. By your mouse movements, I do get the impression you're box selecting your familiars. And once you've got them box selected, you can tab through them and cast the Stone Form stun. Now, after the point, at this point, regardless of whether the Winter Wyvern was alive or not, and the Tusk was alive or not, the Medusa comes in and she's going to automatically kill your familiars, because that's what she's good at. She just right-clicks anyone in the fight and your familiars are going to die. So, Medusa's one of your hard counters. You need to be aware of that, and you need to, whenever she's around, you just back out. Let somebody else on your team deal with the Medusa. So, at this point, you can't do a lot. What you needed to rely on is the fact that the Tusk would still be alive. His cooldown has already come up for Ice Shards, and so he now has the ability to counterplay. His Walrus Punch is about to come up again. He has significant damage amplification from the Solar Crest, and he's reasonably survivable. For some reason, he also has a backpacked Orb of Venom. God knows why. But so you being able to get one of those, just one Stone Form stun at the start of the fight would have completely changed the fight. You'd be 4v5 right now. But you have to back up. You're always going to have to back up from a Medusa. It's just the way Medusa works. Sadly, you can't fight her. Not unless you have a big advantage. Sniper can, though. He should be right-clicking her right now. As long as he's uphill and she can't... he should be right-clicking her. I think Stone Gaze on him, but he'd be okay. He's far enough away. Yeah, he's definitely far enough away now. So, like I say, this fight could have gone completely differently based on just one stone form stun. So you need to practice that. It's one of the things that makes a Visage so difficult to deal with, is the chain stunning. I mean, the Familiar's AoE isn't massive, but it's still an AoE. It would have stunned the Windranger, the Ursa, and the Winter Wyvern at the start of that fight before your Tusk got blown up. So what you're looking for is to stun now. Then you wait 1.5 seconds. And then you stun again. And all these guys will then be stunned for 2.5 seconds. Winter Wyvern dies. The Ogre Magi doesn't take a lot of damage, and we're all good. So, okay, I think we don't need to go over that fight anymore. I think that's hey cat. Okay, so we'll quickly glance at items, because your item build for Visage is pretty solid, to be honest. There's a couple of things I want to consider. Your item build for Visage is very consistent. Typically we've got Deso in there, Ag sometimes, Solar Crest, and they're all good. They all amplify the damage that your familiars do, which is always a good thing. Sometimes you have the AC in there, same thing. It increases the attack speed of your allies as well, which is always good. And it reduces the armor of the enemy, which increases the damage they take from your familiar's right click. But let's just take a quick look on Dota buff at Visage. So this is Visage on Dota buff and his items tab. And this is the win rate of all the different items on Visage, because there's quite a good one on here that I've never ever seen you pick up, and I think you should consider it. Now we can ignore all of these, because all these items are stupid items people buy when they are miles ahead and they think they've already won a game. Like an Aegis, you win with an Aegis because you only have chance to take Roche when you've already got an advantage, or at least you only have chance to do it safely. And the people who win the Roche fight tend to be the people who get the Aegis. So Moonshard is another one. You only really tend to buy it when you're ahead and you're near the end of the game. Divine Rapier is something people tend to only buy as a joke when you've nearly won. Buying one on a Visage when you're behind is probably not going to help you anyway. Can't really think why the refresher. But so here's your first sensible on the AC. You have picked this up sometimes, but so it's a pretty solid item. Glad to see you picking it up. We can skip the helm. That's more if you're really good with micro, getting something like a centaur as a dominator creep. And this can be a backpack helm of the dominator. You go dominator creep with it, put it in your backpack. It's not a massively expensive item. If you've got a centaur and you have 3 stuns from your familiars when they're maxed, they're 1.5 seconds. That's 4.5 seconds from this familiar, and then you get the centaur stunning as well. You stun people for insane amounts of time, and that's all about the chain stunning. That really, you've got to be good with your micro for that. So that's down to you. You're going to have to really practice micro if you want to do that. But the real key item I want to look at is this one, because I didn't see you ever pick it up, and it has a 64% win rate, nearly 65. So the silence is situationally good, and that's kind of one of the problems with this item, is that the build up you're only going to get the silence from it, or that's the main deal. Now against spellcasters, against like Phoenix, Storm Spirit, anyone who relies on their spells to escape, Slark for example, if he hasn't got his Shadow Blade yet, then the Orchid, the silence is really really good. What makes this item so amazing is the True Strike ability. Now, a Bloodthorn, if the tooltips will decide they want to work, a Bloodthorn grants you True Strike and 100% chance to crit for 140% bonus damage. That's from your familiars, that's from your allies, that's from any other summoned units you happen to control. So this is going to allow you to deal 240% damage from you and all of your familiars. as well as silencing someone, as well as granting True Strike if it's somebody like a Phantom Assassin that's got evasion. This item hard counters Phantom Assassin because it grants your whole team True Strike, including your familiars. This item's amazing. So it's really, really good against spellcasters because of the silence. And early on, it's only really great against spellcasters and people who are going to escape from you with their spells. But against evasion targets, the big item is still is amazingly good. It's just the problem is the build up. So if you go into a game, the enemy are really spell heavy, I would recommend you try taking an Orchid in the mid game, and then when you get a bit richer, maybe just build the Orchid, then just carry on with the item builds you build normally, then finish the Bloodthorn later. But tend to get it in games where the enemy are spell heavy, or they're only getting away with their spells. Invoker, for example. Invoker. His main escape is to cast Ghost Walk to escape. So if you can silence Invoker, you can just right-click him for free. There's nothing he can do about it. Weaver, again, he needs to cast his ult, or he needs to cast his Sakuchi to be able to escape. If you silence him, he can't do that. He tends to build a Lincoln, so you might need other ways to break it later against Slark. Sometimes he'll build a Shadow Blade, so he'll be able to escape anyway, but a lot of the time he will escape by using Pounce, which you can silence. See, all these heroes, a lot of the heroes on this list, Clinks needs his spells to escape, Storm Spirit needs spells to escape, Queen of Pain needs spells to escape, Windranger needs spells to escape, Nature's Prophet needs spells to escape, yeah, not Silencer, TA kind of, but as long as you've got detection you'll be fine. This guy not so much, Broodmother not so much, Bounty Hunter yes, needs spells to escape, Void needs spells to escape, Phantom Assassin needs spells to escape. You see, you get the theme here. All these guys that need their spells to escape, an Orchid would be good against, and a lot of these guys are heavy spellcasters too, so you totally make them useless in a fight. So consider picking that up. So I think that's pretty much it. Have fun playing Visage. Please let me know how it gets on. If you find your win rate goes up, I really think you should consider not playing Visage in ranked. But after you've watched this, you know, try it. Try having a bit of an experiment with him. Maybe don't give up playing him in ranked for a while. Practice him a bit more, and then come back to ranked. But thanks for playing. Hope you've enjoyed watching. Hope you found this useful. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.